Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the February 9th, 2026 council meeting. I'm Jennifer Connor, Clerk of Ramara Township. I'll begin with roll call of council. Mayor Clark.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
Present.
Councillor Snutch.
Present.
Councillor Fisher.
Present.
Councillor Tuyu. Present. Councillor Goff.
Present.
Councillor Bell.
Present.
Thank you.
This meeting is being streamed live on the Township of Ramara YouTube channel. Be advised that by attending a public meeting of the Council of the Township of Ramara, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and will form a part of the public record. The chair, CAO, and/or clerk have the discretion and authority to terminate or interrupt the live streaming in exceptional circumstances where the content of debate is considered inappropriate to be published. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
The council consents to the return of Councillor Bell to her seat at the February 9th, 2026 council meeting following her public apology for the disorderly conduct at the November 24th, 2025 council meeting in accordance with sections 4.3G and 4.4I of the Township's Procedure Bylaw 2025-23.
Thank you. Councillor Bell.
Thank you. As I've done on 3 previous occasions, 2 statements of regret and 1 statement of I'm sorry. I say again, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Council members, can I have a mover to accept? Councillor Fisher, second by Councillor Goff. All in favor? That is carried. Opposed of any? Not seeing any. That is carried. Thank you. We will now go on to the approval of the agenda. Madam Clerk.
That the council agenda dated February 9th, 2026 be adopted as presented.
Okay, I guess the only thing that'll be changed in the agenda
Pardon me, is
will be the
amended.
in camera. I'm looking at the CAO. What item is it? Next steps, 10.2.1 is no longer necessary.
That's correct.
So that will be removed, save the cost. Okay, thank you.
And if I can, through you, Your Worship, there is a minor edit to the infrastructure's report regarding the sewer project. So that amended report will be on desk shortly and will be placed, republished on the agenda shortly as well.
Okay, thank you. I had that in my notes and I forgot. So on the amended agenda, is that fine with the mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Goff, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Do I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest for any member of council? Deputy Mayor.
I believe there's one on NRK here. that
Yes.
I'm looking at, so that one.
And the nature of the conflict, Your Worship?
We do business with them on the business.
All right. Any other declarations? Not seeing any. Oh yes, we're on to announcements, so I'll start off. I don't need those. Start off. Black History Month. February is Black History Month, and this year marked 30 years of celebrating Black History Month in Canada. This year's theme, 30 years of Black History Month, honoring Black brilliance across generations, from nation builders to tomorrow's visionaries, invites us to recognize and celebrate the lasting contributions, achievements, and leadership of Black Canadians, past, present, and future. I encourage residents to take this time to learn more and explore education resources available at canada.ca/ I think that's a / Yeah, not much of a techie. Black History Month. Thank you. The interim tax bills, the 2026 interim tax bills were mailed out January 29th. So property owners should have received them or be receiving them shortly. The interim tax payments are due in 2 installments, February 25th and April 27th, 2026. If you have any questions about your tax bill or payment options, please contact the Township's Finance Department or visit ramara.ca/ pay a bill. I know I got mine in the mail the other day. Shredding it does not get me out of paying the bill. Next, I have the Spring Recreation Guide. The Township Spring Recreation Guide will be released on February 18th, 2026. The guide includes many programs available for residents of all ages, abilities, offerings, opportunity for everyone to stay active and engaged in the community. Resident registration opens February 19th at noon, and non-resident registration opens February 26th at noon. March break registration is already underway. Families are encouraged to register now because space is limited. So visit ramara.ca/recreation. Summer employment opportunities. The township is now accepting applications for a variety of summer and student employment opportunities across several departments. It always seems odd when it's this cold out, but this is the time to get your name forward if you're looking for one of those summer jobs. These positions offer a great opportunity to gain hands-on experience and build skills. The application deadline is February 16th at 4:30 p.m. Anyone interested is encouraged to learn more and apply at ramara.ca/employment. And lastly, a reminder that Family Day takes place on Monday, February 16th. The Township Administration Office will be closed for the holiday, reopening Tuesday, February 17th on behalf of council. I'd like everyone to enjoy that weekend and have a great Family Day. Do we have any other announcements? Councillor Goff.
Actually, look this way first. I just want to remind people that our Lions Club in Brecken here is having a fishing derby. They're sponsored out of Brecken Point, just down here. They also have a derby for the largest whitefish, the first top 3 prizes, and lake trout. And they also are going to have a dinner at the Putney Hall. So great time. It's Valentine's Day. You can actually take your wife out fishing and take her out for dinner too. So
I think I'll have a hard time selling a fishing trip for a Valentine's present to my wife, but hey, I'll say Councillor Goff insisted. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, for sure. A couple things. I think we already talked about the putt, right? We've been here since then. Yeah. Okay. So moving forward, yesterday we went to provincials this weekend for wrestling, Ontario Wrestling Championships. So our girls came home again with the under 17 title, which was fantastic. So we had 2 girls from Ramara, 1 silver medalist, and my daughter gold. Fantastic turnout. We were the smallest team again, but we came back with the most medals. So that was a good sign. This weekend, it's Winterfest at the Ramona Hall. It starts at 10 a.m. and goes till 2 p.m. I'll be on checkpoint 4, I believe, for the day. And the euchre tournament starts at 1:30. So come on out and join us.
Okay, I think I saw, was there other hands? Nope. Councillor to you.
Thanks. I was able to attend the Aurelia District Chamber of Commerce dinner along with Councillor Fisher and the mayor and First Lady. And it was a great fit that we were seated with our dear friends on Severn Council. It was so moving to see Bob Brown receive the Lifetime Achievement Award and recognition for the wonderful things he has done for the community.
Thank you, Councillor to you. So if that's it, I will go on to, I lost my agenda here. There it is. Presentations and public and special meetings of council. We have none, but a deputation we do. Mike McMurter is here from Information Aurelia. So Mike, whenever I saw you, there you are. Whenever you're ready, come on in, just push the center button there to turn the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we've had, you and I have had a long and storied history together, all very, very positive. And I just wanted to inform all of council, et cetera. A number of years ago, Information Aurelia, which is always, shall we say, swatting above its weight at times, launched the Index of Wellbeing Study. And we had a working group, and where other townships sent staff, your mayor actually attended the working group and provided excellent input in terms of that particular study. So I just want to acknowledge your support and history with Information Aurelia. This morning, we are back, by the way. There's a new Information Aurelia. It was struggling. There's a number of that have stepped in, and Doug Sexsmith, my colleague, will present some of those kinds of things. We're now 175 days in, and exciting things ahead for us. And so I just want to express our appreciation for allowing this presentation. Doug will talk about, we're building a thing called Partnerships with Purpose. And we see Information Aurelia this is one of our part of our catchment area. And we just want to reconnect with all the townships, et cetera. And we thank you for this opportunity to make this presentation. Thank you.
Good morning. So first of all, you got a couple of old guys up here. We got about 100+ years of getting stuff done, but we're both hearing impaired, and I have one ear that's not working. So if you ask a question and we're staring off into space, we haven't passed away standing up here. We just didn't hear the question. Anyways, good morning, Mr. Mayor, councilors and folks. Good morning. We are the new information Aurelia, and what makes a difference? Well, after 50 years of being in existence and the initiation to many of the nonprofit organizations, our partners in industry, we've been here long before all of them. We, for the most part, are the reason for the reason that many of them are even here today. People like the Lighthouse, people like Literacy Council, Sharing Place, Greenhaven. So 50 years, we took it back to the studs about 174 days ago because I'm in real estate and the foundation was solid, but it needed some cosmetic work. So we stepped in, Mike and I, and 174 days later, we've developed a new board that's skilled, diverse, experienced, enthusiastic. We're a linear board, not hierarchical, which means that everybody's contributing. We're open to discussion from all members of the board and they all participate. So who's on that board? Thank you for asking. We have Melissa Robertson, who's the Director of Corporate and Operational Services, the Aurelia Public Library. We have Alan LaFontaine, who's the Executive Director of the Aurelia Chamber of Commerce. We have Susan Scheichel, who's a VP of Governance for a large media company and all things financial with IO. We have Wes Erskine, who's a retired staff sergeant of 34 years with the OPP and founding member of Inclusive Aurelia. We have Kyle Peacock, owner of Peacock Tariff Consulting. We have Tim Lauer, who's Councillor Ward 2. Mike McMurder, who is our chair and all things Aurelia, extensive contact management, heading up many varied political campaigns, municipally, provincially, and federally, and past chair of IO. And myself, not so much. I'm a real estate agent. I've had extensive background in operations and oversee the day-to-day operations of IO. So what did we do? Well, we've got, what does information really do? Well, we have 5 key aspects. The first of which is the front door, which we'll elaborate on. The next is income tax clinic, which is highly successful. Next is volunteer management, client contact support, and finally, just general information. So the front door is systems navigation. We were probably systems navigation before the term recently has been coined. We've been directing people within our community for years to the right services. So the front door is like a help desk for those who don't know what they need or where to find it. And we are the leading agency in this type of systems navigation. We break down their problems into manageable solutions and refer them to the appropriate community service. And in essence, we are the funnel for our clients to other community services. The income tax clinic, highly successful. From Aurelia and area food strategy, income is key. Free low-cost tax clinics and income supports put critical dollars back into households. In 2024, we did income taxes for 1,500 clients whose average income was only $20,000, which resulted in a total amount of $3.5 million returning for all those clients. That's real money in our clients' pockets, allowing them with dignity to make their own choices for food, housing, etc. We are poverty reduction. And it put $3.5 million plus back into our local economy. Because they completed their income tax, which many of them have not, they now qualify for various benefits such as dental, disability, child tax benefits, CPP, OAS, GIS, and affordable housing, thus putting more money back in their pockets. Volunteer management. So when it says harnessing a valuable asset, 25% of the population of Aurelia are seniors, and they're an extremely valuable asset. Many of them have worked in years in various different positions. And so we are redeveloping our volunteer service, and our initial focus will be on seniors who make up 25% of our population. As an added benefit, this also provides seniors with purpose and socialization opportunities. Client contact support. With this, we'll provide clients, and we do provide clients who often don't have a permanent address, a way to have a permanent address. Currently, we have 168 people that use us as their permanent address. Also allows them access to technology, which we have. And also, as far as a mail drop is concerned, we talked about dropping off their mail in there because they have a permanent address. We are also wayfinding and tourism, which, believe it or not, is what we first discovered when my wife and I first moved to Aurelia 5.5 years ago. We didn't know where to go, which is our motto, a place to go when you don't know where to go. We thought maybe we would just try and find the Stevens Leacock Museum. We do that as well. The predominance of what we do is with clients who are struggling But yes, we do also offer wayfinding services. Thanks. Thanks, Colton. So where are we going? New vision. The new mission moving forward, when we took over, Mike and I said, you know, very often with nonprofit organizations, it's feast or famine. And I said, we can't run it like that. We have to run it like a business where we have income streams from other sources. Does that mean we're going to stop asking for money? No. Does it mean that we're going to stop writing grants? No. But we need to provide ourselves a level of sustainability through additional income sources. We want to be a hands-up organization, and that is very much what we are. We want to be the best of what we can do. We are going to be a good community business partner, and we are, and as certain as Alan LaFontaine will ascertain, he will tell you that we are an excellent business partner. We want to enhance our credibility and value and to commit to continuous improvement. So actions. So as we move forward, we've hired an operations manager a while back. He's absolutely fantastic. He has social work from Georgian College, which helps us assess individuals as they come in. We have a front desk young lady who's fantastic. We have a lot of volunteers. We have a cooperative. We're working with Georgian College, who's currently helping to redesign our front door technology. We have Lakehead University students who have helped enable our new website, and we have a Lakehead student who's currently working on our media display, short 30-second clips. Normalizing our partnerships with MOUs and repositioning our brand. So as we said, we took it back to the studs, and we've got Lakehead students. We have a very good relationship with Lakehead. Our operations manager has been fantastic. We've got great response from the local community partners who we've been working with. And lastly, I want to thank you all for allowing us to be here today to give you a little bit of a sense of who Information Aurelia is and has been for 50+ years. Every day at IO, we have clients that come in that are lost, confused, overwhelmed, and limited options and resources. They need help, and Information Aurelia is the forefront of this emergency. It's our job to listen, break their problems into manageable solutions, and refer them to the relevant services. We are all about solutions. That's who we are, and that's what we do. So, Mr. Mayor, we are a hands-up organization. Information Aurelia is completely aligned with the city and the county's commitment to help our most vulnerable in mitigating homelessness, food insecurity, and reducing poverty in our community. And I want to thank you again for this opportunity to talk to you all.
And I want to thank you for using one of the terminologies that I personally do endorse, which is a hands up. That's not a handout, it's a hands up. And as you said, with the income tax, that is so critical nowadays. I mean, and I've met two personally, folks that were homeless. And when we got their returns done, there was all this income they qualified for. And now they are living independently at full market rent. And I've met two individuals in this case that were on the streets that are now able to support themselves with the payments that they are entitled to. So that is a big one in helping out folks when they're struggling and they just don't know which direction to go, right? Michael.
Mr. Mayor, not only do we offer the income tax, you saw the volume that we're doing, $3.5 million. But we also have 2 touch points during that. So other income tax clinics are running, they do the income tax, et cetera. We call it poverty reduction with dignity. And because that puts money in their pockets, they can make their own decisions. We have 2 touch points. So when they come in, one of the things that we do is we say, do you need help with other things? So not only do they get an opportunity to get their income tax, but we say, do you need help with housing? Do you need help with food? Those kinds of things. So we do that. And when we return their income tax and discuss with them the benefits they get, we do the same thing. Do you need help? One of the things that happens is sometimes they haven't done income tax for 10 years. All of a sudden they have a lot of money in their pocket. And you know what? Everybody thinks they're going to run off and spend the money frivolously. They do not. They say, can you help me plan a budget to spend this money appropriately and those kinds of things? And that's where we do. We help them, refer them to other agencies, et cetera, to help them budget, to organize themselves. That's the hands up part that we are adding value to the income tax clinic. That's what we're about.
Yeah, and it's, your duties certainly have changed for when, 10 years ago, it was almost tourism focused is what you're doing, but that's the sign of the times that
So
we're in.
you can see where if there's income tax clinics, I know you're running one in your library. Well done, well done. But we're adding that extra value to it too, because we have the front door. We have that capability of referring to. We have those other partnerships with purpose. So we can refer people to those other particular service. So we're providing a more wraparound type of support in terms of the income tax. We make a joke about it. We say the income tax is like the hot dog at Costco. You go in, it costs $1.50. The hot dog costs more than that, but they're in the door. We're doing something valuable for them, but we're connecting them to other services. We're providing that additional wraparound support that they so desperately need, like financial support. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions? I have a few here. Councillor Fisher, then the deputy mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Great presentation. One of the things that I learned most recently, a few years ago when I started with the poverty reduction strategy in Aurelia, and I was down at a forum down in Barrie, and you talked about information. Aurelia had talked about the fact that you do offer your address for people, and I don't think your presentation gave you guys enough credit, because it's not just about to receive mail. It's so that they can have somewhere to get a cell phone bill, so that they can make doctor's appointments, so that they can get a health card. And to me, that was, aside from the income tax clinic, to putting the money back in pockets, like that to me was just so amazing to see. And I just wanted to make sure that the residents of Ramara and beyond who are watching this right now are fully aware of that service that's being provided, that there are people who, not just to receive mail, but to then be able to get their mail from their income tax returns or their doctor's letters, or even somewhere to put on a resume to get a job. And that is just such a huge thing. My experience with Information Aurelia goes back a little bit even further. So I lived in Aurelia, sat on the Youth Opportunities Committee years ago, and was part of the group that got the youth center when it first opened up on Wyandotte. One of the programs that I ran there was a young parents group, and we met every Wednesday. And every other Wednesday we had a public health nurse come in, and every other Wednesday we had an agency in the municipality come in or around. So we had somebody from housing with somebody. But you used to have these stapled, and I remember they were legal size papers, but every little tab different. It was my favorite resource to hand out, because this is pre as easily access internet, and you just flip. If it was housing you need, if it was food you needed, if it was a place of worship you needed, there was just, and I still have some that have been packed away, in the junk drawer, and eventually make their way into the bottom of a box. And I know I still have some. So when you talked about your front door service, that is something that has been evolving for a very long time, even before I think it's Microsoft Access or whatever the database thing was. It was a paper thing, and I remember that from back then. So you guys do amazing work.
Hard copy still works, right?
I love that thing.
We have actually, Councillor Fisher, we actually have one just for food. Okay,
Awesome.
so we're, Tuesday Toonie, sharing place, all kinds of stuff. So we do still hand those things out.
Awesome.
Okay, just a second. Did we lose Councillor Snutch? I noticed he's dropped off the screen.
No, he's just got his camera off.
Oh, okay, all right. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to echo the mayor's. I've been around these parts my whole life, and I've seen the evolvement the evolving, mandate of what you do. And I think in order to survive in today's age, and the way the government sector changes, the funding changes, it's important that you keep reassessing the needs of the community. And I respect that. Appreciate it. You have a powerhouse team. Most of them I know on there. Wes Erskine is probably one of my favorite people in the world. So you couldn't pick somebody better to join there. So
One of ours too.
Yeah.
I call him our moral compass.
I was going to say nobody has a stronger moral compass.
Yeah,
than
yeah.
Wes
He's,
Erskine.
so
Absolutely amazing person. Yeah.
Great guy, great guy.
Councillor Goff.
I'd like to thank you for coming. I know the work you do. You ask us, are you with us? What ask do you have of us as council other than informing us right now?
Well, Councillor, I want to echo what your colleague, Mayor Burkett, he had that look on his face too. You know, he says, so what do you want from us, guys? And I said, Michael, I don't want money today. Okay. And he was like, he beamed, you know what I mean? We want to establish, Councillor Goff, a partnership with purpose. Okay. So we want to start that dialogue. Okay. Today is an information session. We are setting up income tax clinics in Oro-Medonte, and we are doing also Severn. You have your own, so we respect that, you know, totally. If you need to work with us in any particular way, we're open to doing those kinds of things, but we're respectful of your efforts, and we just want to create that partnership with you, you know, like on an ongoing basis. And most of, you know, I mean, we're going to provide you with information of what we're doing on an ongoing basis. When we talk about volunteer management, stay tuned. There's a lot more coming around those kinds of things. Okay. There's going to be summer projects. There's other organizations coming out and say, can you help us with volunteer management? So that's going to be a big push, you know, and as Doug said, not only does it, you know, harness that opportunity, you know, especially with seniors, because they have so much experience, but it provides that socialization and that purpose in life. Okay. One of the biggest things when you get a senior is loneliness, and loneliness is an incredible social determinant of health. Lonely people die earlier. So we can connect with them, help, you know, like put something back into the community, but provide them with that socialization and those kinds of things. The term now is called social prescribing. That's the sort of term being used, but that's one of our intents right now. So we're 175 days in. Stay tuned. More to come. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Michael. Okay, so next I have the open forum. Oh, we just get the list here now. I do have some folks that are going to speak, and it looks like everybody's speaking on 11.5.1. So I'll start with Agnes Boras. Did I say it right, Agnes?
Before I begin, I brought handouts for everyone, which is just scripted my speech. May I hand that out, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor, just while we're getting ready.
Yeah, just curious. I had a question for the clerks. Are we allowed to accept these because it wasn't part of the CIP? I don't want to. That's the only issue. I just want to make sure, like procedurally, we're allowed to.
Madam Clerk.
Procedurally, we should have had them 1 hour before. If we were to discuss it, it's not on the agenda.
All right,
We weren't given a chance to add it.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. I didn't mean to cut you off.
We weren't given a chance to add it to the agenda, Your Worship.
Okay.
So,
But this is what you're going to say, is it?
Yes.
So it's just a hard copy of what
Yes,
Agnes
the
is
reason
gonna say.
why, so you can follow. There's so much. 1 minute is not enough. So I'll begin. Mayor Clark, councillors, attendees, thank you for the opportunity for me to speak today. I am here to ask you not to pass report ID 10726. That is dated February 2nd, and do not pass the proposed bylaws. The repayment plan lacks fairness, transparency, risking financial health and undue hardship for many of the homeowners. As you know, many are retired up to 50%. The complete financial information is missing, plus what type of loan is it? Is it front-ended or not? And may I point out just quickly that lateral drilling is not, it is a common practice. So I was surprised to read what I read. This report feels like an eviction notice for a lot of homeowners. They've asked me to speak. There's quite a few there that are part of our group association, and we regularly get together. Now, my key concerns: 30 years infrastructure loan is available. Please apply for it. Previously, the Brecken homeowners who had to hook up received 30 years financing at a much lower interest rate. Many residents are retired and cannot secure a loan. I went to CIBC and did my research, and it just does not look good. So there you go. Originally, a 10-year hookup term for Brecken residents was offered to us, and I think it should still be acceptable. Payment options would force some to choose between necessities like utilities, food, and other essentials. And that's why when I heard today's deputation, I really appreciated that, because there's going to be a large number of homeowners, seniors in Brecken who will not be able to pay essentials and might be losing their homes. The hefty fines are incredibly huge. They're excessive and unfair, especially for those who are already struggling financially. As you know, seniors are on a fixed income. My recommendation is, sorry, I'm not a speaker professionally, so it's just a little stressful. My request is 30-year financing. Please apply for the IO loan. Minimum 10-year hookup, like previously was done. Include the municipal contribution of 30% that was offered to us. Full transparency on costs, including the completed tender package as requested. I received an empty tender package from the township, so we are still waiting for a completed tender package. Please create a committee of council with residents regarding these issues. I am concerned about the undue stress and potential loss of homes. Let's work together to create a fair solutions aligning with Ramara Township Strategic Plan 223-26, which objective number 3 is supporting open and transparent local government and affordable services. Below is just the supporting information, the pages that I don't agree to or seem very concerning. And I guess that's my minute. So thank you.
Thank you, Agnes.
Any questions?
Well, there isn't any. We've got it, and we've got your submission. So thank you.
No question, because I understand the IO loan people didn't know about on the counselor. So I just want counselors to know that I appreciate you. And I am so sorry that you don't get all the information you need sometimes to make decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Smith, I think. I believe the same item. Everybody's on the same item. Thank you. Well, it's kind of nice. I can follow along and see you're almost done. And so I just allowed Agnes to carry on. Yes. Yes.
Through your worship, if I can just remind members of council, in accordance with your procedure bylaw, handouts are not permitted during open public forum.
Okay. So, yeah. All right. So I won't be receiving any more. We just found out that no handouts are not permitted during the open, but that's okay. Carry on.
It's already I'm already on?
Yes.
Okay. Good day, Mayor Clark and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I represent a group of at least 52 residents that don't want this to pass. We are appealing to you to consider the financially damaging effects of staff report ID 0726. In these economically challenging times, asking residents who are struggling to meet their day-to-day expenses to incur additional, and I might add, unnecessary financial burdens is mean-spirited to say the least. This is a massive source of stress for people on fixed incomes who don't know how they are going to manage to make ends meet. For the record, my waste system has never had a leak, and I'm pleased to say that I've passed every inspection, unlike the Township of Ramara, which did have a leak in a septic receiving tank in August 2024. Existing systems should remain until they need replacement, as is grandfathered in. It doesn't make any financial sense to replace a functioning system that requires gravity to work with another that requires electricity to work. We implore you to consider our mental and financial well-being when you decide how to proceed on this report. And thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And it was word for word what was given to us. So I'll just say that for the record. Michael O'Brien.
Good day, your mayor and council. I just read over all of the information that I've received. The one question I had was, it doesn't mention the grinders. I know they were an original option 1B. And they're a fairly expensive item. And I was just wondering, are they part of the financing package? When do they come due? Or are they part of the fee that's already been charged?
I will, hopefully a counselor will ask that question for you when that item comes up. Next I have Lois Hawks, I think it is. Oh, go
Hi.
ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but I'm just a ordinary person. I'm 83 years old. I've worked all my life, 2 and 3 jobs, 7 days a week. Took maybe 2 vacations. I bought my own home. I have it outright. I deliberately bought one that didn't have to hook up to anything because I like well water, number one. And number two, your hookup is far too expensive. And I think we are the ones, we are the parents and the grandparents that put you people through school so that you could have jobs, so that you could afford to live. And now you're telling us that we can't afford to live. I can't afford that hookup. Do I have to sell my home? Am I going to go into old age prison that you call old age homes? This is not working well at all. We can't afford it. It's as simple as that. At 83, am I going to get a job? I don't think so. I'm healthy, and I'm healthy because I was brought up on well water. I've always been on well water. And that's all I have to say. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. That's, there was none online, I don't think, public forum. So now we just have the council minutes.
The council minutes of the following meetings be adopted as presented. Council meeting minutes dated January 26, 2026. Council meeting closed session minutes dated January 26, 2026.
Can I have a mover and a seconder for the minutes? Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Snutch. Questions arising from the minutes? Not seeing any, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So we need a motion to recess into committee of the whole.
The council recess and convene into committee of the whole at 10:09 a.m.
Moved by the deputy mayor, second by Councillor Goff. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We do have, I guess, a closed session for 1, 2, 3 items, I believe.
That in accordance with section 239(4) of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25, notice is hereby given that the Committee of the Whole intends to hold a closed session meeting in the Richard P. Bates Boardroom to deal with matters pursuant to section 239(2)E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And K, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations.
Okay, can I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Tuyu. All in favor? That is carried. We'll excuse ourselves. Try and get back. I wouldn't be able to guess how long we're going to be in there. We got a few long reports. Thank you. as soon as we're ready, Colton will go live. Oh, I'm waiting for Colton to say that we're streaming live. All right. Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up. We're live. I'll look to my clerk to confirm I still have a quorum.
Thank you, your worship. I can confirm we have quorum.
Okay, I guess we need a motion to rise from closed.
That committee of the whole rise from closed session at 11:02 a.m. and reconvene in open session and report.
Moved by Counselor Bell, second by Counselor Goff. All in favor? That is carried, and I believe we have three motions.
That report CD 0426 be received as information and that report CD 0426 be referred to the February 9th, 2026 council agenda for same-day ratification.
Okay, that's the first in-camera item. Can I have a move by the deputy mayor, second by Counselor Goff? All in favor? That is carried. Next one, please. Okay, moved by Counselor Fisher, second by Counselor Tui. All in favor? That is carried. And lastly,
That report AD 0226 regarding physician recruitment update be received as information and that report AD 0226 be referred to the February 9th, 2026 council agenda for same-day ratification.
moved by Counselor Bell, second by Counselor Goff. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. So now what I will do is I promised council we would take a quick break before we get into items 11. So return at 11:15. Could I have a motion to? Oh, yeah, it's the one report. Do we need 11:20? We have the new on-desk report ID 0726, the one that was put in our agenda. So I will give council a little time to review that as well. So I will take a break at this point, Madam Clerk.
Do I move in or second, or your
Moved
worship?
by Counselor Goff, second by the deputy mayor. All in favor? That is carried, and we have the on-desk report.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we're live. We're just waiting for Councillor Schnutz to turn his mic and camera back on.
All righty. As soon as I get Councillor Snutch back, I'll get a roll call again or, okay, I see Councillor Clerk, if you confirm I have a.
Thank you, Your Worship. I confirm we have quorum.
Yep. All right, so I've got, we're on to item 11 now, which is, we've done motions arising. We have council reports. I have none. Board and committee reports, none. Council referral reports, none, but I do have departmental reports. So we are starting with 11.51, which is the first one, which is the low pressure servicing project, which I will turn over to General Manager Pai. Maybe Dave, can you mute yourself? We're getting a bit of rumbling coming from your end. Thank you. And go ahead, General Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wanted to take a moment to frame this report, and especially in light of the comments that we heard earlier this morning. We do recognize that this project is impactful on our community. As we move forward to completing this project, it's important to remember where we started, which was we updated the construction method to directional drilling, and we managed the project effectively, which allowed the overall cost to be reduced. And as CAO Jackson had mentioned, we do have the on the desk update for you. So what we did was we further analyzed the borrowing calculations and determined that they were overestimated. So the report in front of you includes the updated calculations. Overall, the lump sum, if you were to come in and pay by April 15th, that value did not change because the project cost didn't change. It was only the borrowing calculations. So the 10-year repayment now option would be at a cost of $22,658. So overall, this report is covering 3 items. First is the repayment option for the impacted properties. The second is the borrowing bylaw required, and the third is the connection bylaw. So it is important to note that previous direction given in June of 2025 via resolution was that the connection period was 3 years from the date of completion of the project. The bylaw and the draft bylaws are accompanying this report. And for the borrowing bylaw, we would like to mention as well that we're reviewing the best available rate options, and that will be confirmed ahead of bringing the bylaw for ratification at the next meeting. So the recommendation before you today provides 2 distinct paths for repayment: the lump sum option, which would be due by April 15th, or a 10-year repayment plan. This report is about providing the information to you to make that informed decision regarding the repayment options. And then once council has made its decision and it's been ratified, we will provide the impacted property owners a full information package regarding their repayment options. These will be similar to the other communications that we have already delivered to those residents. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
There was a question from the floor earlier about the grinder pumps, and no, the cost of the grinder pumps are not part of the project because that's on the private property side of the project. Yeah, this is the urban street hookup. Anything required on your own private property is the responsibility of the homeowners. Okay, questions, Deputy Mayor, start us off.
I think I'll just do a follow-up to what your comment last was. Do we know approximately what the cost is on the private side, so we understand what their full impact is?
Through you, Your Worship, it's very difficult for me to guesstimate because it takes into account the layout of each individual property, where their current septic tank is in relation to the connection, and then a bunch of various things. So I can't offer that. That one of the things that we did do as part of the grinder pump information package that was sent out to the residents in December, we did include several different models of pumps. So there are options for pricing depending on which one. There are some that are like the Cadillac that have all the bells and whistles, and other ones are the Ford Fiestas that get us from point A to point B. So that's where the individuals can really make that selection that's best suited for themselves.
Okay, Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Among the questions that remain outstanding include, why have we not looked at an Ontario infrastructure loan with a longer time frame rather than borrowing from CIBC?
Manon.
We are actually looking with Infrastructure Ontario to see what the options are. The challenge is because of the tight turnaround from April 15, which is the deadline for paying in lump sum. And when it's going to be put on a final tax bill, which is getting out mid to end of May. So there's a really, really short timeline there. And with Infrastructure Ontario, there's a lot of steps that we need to do. And we're not sure at this point if it's doable, but we're working with our representative to work on that to see if there's any way to make it work because the rates, the suggested rate at this point are lower than what we use for the calculations. But if we go with CIBC or Infrastructure Ontario, the rates that are used for calculation, then we don't know what they're going to be in 2 months, right? So they're used just to make estimated repayment. But as of the latest conversation that I had with them, the rates are better than what are in this report. So we are looking into it.
Follow up?
Thank you. So I guess what I'm not understanding, you're talking about the timeline between the Ontario infrastructure loan steps and April 15th. So then that makes me ask, then why are we selecting April 15th? And why didn't we look at the Ontario infrastructure loan sooner rather than waiting until we're at the end of the project and then beginning that process?
The reason, sorry, through you, Mayor, the reason we are waiting is because I can't take on a loan not knowing how much I need to borrow. So I need to know how many people will decide to go with the lump sum to know how much we need to borrow. If I knew today the amount of the loan, I could start the work today with Infrastructure Ontario. Unfortunately, we won't know until the deadline for the lump sum payment is passed. So that's where the challenge is.
Follow up?
I have different questions.
Okay,
but
go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't know if it's somebody else. So this question is to, I don't even know who. In 2024, we were presented a mandatory connection bylaw. There was multiple discussions around that bylaw. The minutes were even updated to indicate that that bylaw was nothing more than informational and there would be no mandatory connection in 3 years. I understand it got stuck in the tender report that came back in May of 26, didn't belong there because it had nothing to do with the tender. So there's no reason why that 3 years has to be mandatory. During those discussions, the statement was made repeatedly that we used up to 10 years for other projects, and including Bayview, which was the most recent project done in 2019. 3 years on top of this calculation and on top of the increasing by 8 and 15% sewer rates each year puts these folks without an ability to eat food. So I think that we need to start looking at different solutions. Many of them have new systems and they don't need to come on in 3 years. Some actually have systems that haven't become operational yet. They're that new. So I think that removing them from the conversation, the affected 81 families, and making a decision that says, we know that we're putting you out of house and home and we're okay with it, is not really good governance. So I think we need to talk about that mandatory connection.
I guess what would be the steps if we're going to amend the bylaw? That should have come to council months ago, actually, if we're going to amend this bylaw, because we even have to advertise, do we not, if we're amending a bylaw? Maybe General Manager, you can help us out on that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll look to the clerk to if I'm saying anything incorrectly, but my understanding is that that would be a reconsideration. So you would have to reconsider that previous decision from June of 2025 about the 3-year term. The bylaw was not drafted because often we need to wait until we understand when the project has been completed, which is why it's coming to you now. So at this point, if that 3-year was to be redecided, it would be reconsideration.
That's what I thought, because I know when the Brecken one went ahead, all this was done prior to the project being completed, like all the meetings, amendments to the bylaws and everything was set up as the project. And that, again, council did have the deliberation on that and the bylaw still stands, correct? And that's, yes.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's the other piece, is that generally speaking, the mandatory connection bylaws are individual for the projects, and that's where they'll still stand for those individual projects.
Correct. Councillor Snodge.
Thank you. I listened to the residents early today who were speaking and some of the issues. They're obviously not happy with the whole project, but I just think from my point of view, there's a couple things we could do to assist. I disagree with Councillor Bell when she makes statements of they can't eat. I think she's throwing things out that are not proper and making assumptions, but that's fine. I just think if there's anything we can do, I would be open to it if we could get council. If there's other people in council that are interested, I'd be interested in extending that loan from 10 years to 20 or 30. I mean, I don't know what the date is. I also would like to ask Mano, if we got notice for the people, like she says that one of the reasons they have to pay by April 15th is because she needs to know the information. What happens if we got notice from them? And so we just knew how many we are going to finance. Because if we were to reduce it over a 20-year period, I don't think it costs the township any money, does it? It's just because they're paying the net effect of the longer interest rates. And if somebody doesn't want to do it, according to this, they can come in and pay it off at any time. So I just say that there might be a little bit we can do here to satisfy the residents if there's interest from council to A, extend the loan, and B, get rid of that April 15th deadline to pay. But I'm open if there was other people interested.
Okay, first I'll get an answer. Please don't disagree with other council members. Every council member is entitled to their own opinion on articles, but we want to keep everything through the chair if we can. Laura, do you have any, or Mano? I'm trying to think who wants to try and answer that. We would be asking interest from the individuals on the project. Now, if we don't decide today, there's interest accumulating on this money as we speak, is it not? It's been borrowed, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, it has not. So
Right.
the interest would only accumulate at the point that we would take the loan out. I can speak to Councillor Snutch's point about if we had a confirmation from people that they were going to, we could. The risk would be that somebody would say that I'm going to pay the lesser cost, and then we don't see that money at that time and need to borrow to account for that. That would be the risk of going off of a potentially a survey or something like that, as opposed to actually receiving the payment. So that's why the payment received by a specific date was the option selected there.
Well, we need to know a direction by a certain date. Yes, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
So again, the options are still there, or individuals can lock up their own private financing that could go longer as well. But we need to know what it is the individuals want by the April deadline so that we can lock the money up and know what the interest rates are for everybody else. Do you have a supplementary, or I'll go back to the floor?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, Councillor Bell.
Thank you. With regard to the monthly costs that these older adults are facing, I guess my question is, has anybody engaged with them? And I already know that the answer is a number of their questions have not been answered. I am copied or forwarded all of the emails. And I do know that these folks have actually gone and sat down with some financial advisors and looked at the numbers of this project, as well as the massive increases, the short payback time, and the mandatory connection. And there are people who will be out of home that are literally not going to be able to eat because the amount of money that comes in cannot pay these bills. And that's before we do the next calculation, which I'm confident will likely see us increase sewer again, since the upward trend seems to be where we're headed these days. So I think that we're doing everything after the horses have left the barn, as it were. So we're having conversations about numbers and pipes in the ground, and we're not having conversations about the older adults who have to be able to pay for these bills. And I think having removed the 81 affected families from the conversation has left us in not a particularly good position. So we're having conversations right now, but we should have been having 6 months and 8 months and a year ago. When the project moved forward, one of the first steps was engagement. So we're already far too late. And I think the very good and decent thing that we should be doing now is reconsidering what we're doing to these folks. And by the way, their properties aren't going to sell. And then that's just the beginning, because once our real estate values start to decline, it doesn't just stop in one particular street or community among Ramara Township. So I think it's time for us to put the brakes on and look and listen to what these people are presenting to us. They're not coming in here and telling you a story because they're looking for emotional value or impact. They're talking about what's happening in their lives and to the properties that some of them have owned for many years in their families. As far as costs, I agree. You don't know what the lateral costs are going to be, and you also don't know what the grinder pumps are going to be. That's their choice. But there's also the decommission, which we're not talking about, and a number of these homes are not on sufficient service to run the pumps and or backup generators that will then ultimately be required. So for a number of them, there's another expense that we haven't addressed. They're not asking us to stop the project because it's too late for that, but they are asking us to be reasonable with the mandatory connection, to look at proper financing options and to extend the length of the financing so they can afford to stay in their homes. And I think we need to do that. And I think we need to defer and actually have engagement with these families so we can understand what we are asking of them.
Okay, I'm going to look for other council members. We do have options in front of us. The first option would be repay in 10 years for the individuals, and the set payment there is there. And there is another option for 15 or even 20 years if that's what council so decides. Now, what I'm understanding reading this, that if you commit to a 20-year, your interest is locked in, even early payment, you're paying that full interest amount, right? These are long-term locked in debentures, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct. So you do have the option to come in and make that payment. However, you're going to be covering that entire cost of that loan at whatever point that you're repaying.
Right, which again, it's no cost to the other sewer and water users. You are covered. If you choose to go that route, you are bearing the cost and there's no cost borne by the other sewer and water users, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct.
Right. Okay, so I'll look for direction. But again, anything to change the bylaw in the term of hooking up would require a 60% majority because that'd be a reconsideration. That was already considered a year ago, I guess now, or a year and a half ago when the project was a go ahead, that our bylaw is hook up in 3 years. So, but we can certainly discuss the terms or I guess I'm looking at the clerk, a motion to defer. I'd need a reason. I mean, people can always put a motion to defer something, but then we would have to start charging interest on the money that's owed, I would think, if we're just going to leave it hanging in the wind. I'm looking for clarification on that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, at some point we're going to have to recover our costs of this project. It's the final cost of the construction portion. There'll be a couple of numbers that'll be fine tuned, but that cost of that borrowing, all we're doing is deferring it. And so following council's direction today, as you mentioned, you could look at that 10-year being something else other than 10-year, 15 or 20 or 30, if that's the choice of council, and we can go back and adjust that accordingly. That will, in the end, that will just change the total cost that the individual property owners will need to pay in total, right. But it does reduce that annual commitment at that point. So,
perfect. Deputy Mayor.
I guess my concern is changing it to a 20-year amortization really saves them $71 a month. I mean, we're looking at going from 188.75 to 117.25 for an extra 10 years of payments. I think the amount of actual interest is astounding. I personally, I understand the reaching out to people, but I mean, they're almost doubling their costs. It's definitely going to be increased significantly.
I guess my position would be, it would be their option. Again, they have April 25th to tell us how they would like to proceed. Now, whether individuals want to get private loans for a longer period of time, that's always an option for folks as well. Councillor Goff, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, my hand was up. I was actually maybe looking towards option number 2 and lengthening the time frame for people, because I know in the past the Brecken area here had a longer time frame than just 10 years to repay it. Some of them are, I believe they're still paying now. I know the deputy mayor has broken down the numbers as to how much it is breaking down per month or whatever, and they're actually paying more in the long run. But some people say, you know, you're saving some money now and that might make a difference to their bills now.
Yeah, if the set incomes, Counselor to you. And then I'll go back to Counselor Bell. Counselor to you, go ahead.
Thanks. Through you, Mr. Mayor, would residents have the option of choosing their own repayment term length, or does everybody have, we have to agree on one repayment term for everybody who's going the loan option?
I think it says, oh, go ahead, Manoa. I think it says up to, but go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, because the township would take on one loan, so everybody would be on the same repayment schedule.
So if we go 15 or 20 years, then everybody has to go 15 or 20. Ooh, that kind
Absolutely,
of changes.
yes.
So it's not
Yes.
open because
And
we,
if I could add, the reason we were hoping for a 10-year repayment is because each municipality have a limit on how much they can borrow. And until those payments, those loans have been repaid, then we're limited on what we can do. We know we have big projects coming up, so the downside of it, if we have projects that are amortized on more years, it's because the downside is that we might not be able to borrow for our own needs later in the future.
okay, Counselor Bell.
Thank you. To that, I guess I would say it's not the issue for 81 families to have to worry about where the municipality is sitting as far as how much debt it can take on. Those 81 families shouldn't need to own that. So that would be my comment to that. As far as the timeline and, you know, $71 a month might sound like nothing, but if you're a retired person, $71 a month might be the difference between being able to pick up your prescriptions or not. So it's difficult to talk about what particular figure means more to one family than it does to another. We don't get to know what those personal finances are. And I have retired folks in my life where $71 is a very big difference in how they can get by on a monthly basis. So I would like to see somewhere in between. I can understand 30 years is maybe the way that financing was done in years gone by, but I think the middle ground of 20 years is reasonable. And I also think that extending a reconsideration on the mandatory connection for those people who do have high functioning systems and or new systems, and in some cases not yet hooked up systems, it's very difficult to tell someone who's invested 60 or 70 or $80,000 into a private system, you've got 3 years, particularly when it's not in use. So I think the 3 years is not reasonable. And I think it would give more latitude for those people who are in those situations to have time to hook up and be able to carry their bills as well.
Yeah, I guess the 3 years isn't up for debate today, but the 15 and 20 certainly is. Just keep in mind, if we go 15 or 20, that's for everybody. So I guess the theory, I can be convinced either way. I thought the 10 years was the best bang for the buck for the individuals. I guess I would go under the philosophy that if we go with a 20-year, then any individuals that could afford the 10 can maybe get the private financing and stay at that 10 and save some money. And like they would pay it in a lump sum and then have a private lender and possibly, and then at least we're allowing a longer period of time for those that maybe aren't able to get that funding. So I could be convinced to go to the 15 or the 20 years. And then again, anybody that can't afford to pay it faster would be well advised to go get private financing of their own. And they would save a bit of money and then pay for the project up front would be my logic behind it. So Councillor Snuts, did you have your hand up? And then I'll look for a motion.
Well, I was just going to add to what you were saying there. By doing a 20-year, we may also get more people to pay up front who do have the financial ability to. So it would answer some of Manol's issues about how much we have to borrow. You may actually encourage upfront payment by doing that. So I also wanted to say, are we talking 3 issues here or just 2? I think we're talking about extending the period of the loan.
Correct.
There was one, and the other one was, I guess that's it. Are we just talking about the loan, or was there another point earlier?
It's just the loan, whether it's 10 years or whether it is 15 or 20. So I'd be looking for a number from council to put on the floor. So Councillor Goff.
I'll move that we extend the timeframe to 20 years.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor. So then if there's any other questions on that, we're looking at the 20-year payback. All in favor?
Through you,
Yes.
worship, if I may,
Option two, I
can
guess
we,
that was
yeah,
vote,
can we
yes.
put the
Oh, the
motion on
clerk
the
has to read it,
screen?
yes.
And we have already changed the 10 years to 20 years.
Yes.
So if that wasn't the pleasure of council, somebody would need to amend that to a different number, but we
Okay,
have
yes. I apologize.
included 20 years. And if we could just make sure that the treasurer and the GM confirm that this is the motion required for that change in term.
And these are estimated numbers now until we actually lock up the financing, correct? Hopefully, I think the interest rates are slowly coming down, so there may be a little better. Oh, Dave, go ahead, Councillor Snodge.
The other issue I was thinking about that I couldn't find is whether we can do anything with the April 15th date. Either extending that just a little bit to allow people more time, especially if we want them to go find the financing, to not to pay up front. And or my option that I suggested earlier, if they gave notice, and I understand Manol's point that, you know, they may change their mind, but is there something that they can't change, that we would not offer financing at that point, at what point it would go on their tax bill? I'm just wondering if that point should be included. Does the rest of council want to open up that April 15th deadline to extend it? Because I would be willing to do that if the other council is, and there's a way to do it. Right now, I don't know of a way to do it because I understand Manol's points.
Looking for, go ahead, Manol.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, April 15 is the latest. In my opinion, it should have been earlier to have the time to finalize everything, but I don't think there's any way that we can secure financing, get the real rates, because we have to come back to council with like all the borrowing and the debenture and all of that needs to be approved by council. Secure the loan, have those rates, make the calculation, update all the tax bill. I don't see it any later than that to be able to make it work for the 2026 final tax bill.
So April 15th would be the only way we could have it out in time for the billing. So I guess we're back to the original motion on the floor that we go for the 20 years, and now we'll get that motion up so that everybody can see it. And again, these are estimates until Mano can lock up the financing, and we know how many people and how much we're borrowing.
That report ID 0726 Maple Trail, Lone Birch Trail, Ridge Avenue, and Simcoe Road low pressure sewer servicing project dated February 2nd, 2026 be received, and that the capital charge payment options for each property be presented to property owners, and that the lump sum option be payable no later than April 15th, 2026, and that the financed option be payable on a 20-year repayment term beginning on the tax bill for June 2026, and that the Director of Financial Services Treasurer be directed to enter into a loan agreement with CIBC to finance the cost of the low-pressure sewer portion of this project for the year 2026.
Okay, and I had a mover in a
through,
second.
through-
Councillor Bell.
Thank you. This includes two bylaws though, right? So this report is sitting here with two bylaws, one called sewer expansion borrowing and one called regulate low pressure sewer system. The second one is the one that contains the mandatory connection. So I'm not grasping why we aren't doing a reconsideration on the.
CEO Jackson.
Through your worship, if I can, just in terms of the motion, I will answer the councillor's question in just a moment, just regarding the reconsideration. But the motion that was just presented to council, what we want to do is make sure that there's flexibility, because it may not be CIBC that we actually enter into. So if I can, your worship, will need because it's moved and seconded, we'll need a slight amendment to that. So the clerk will prepare that while I'm answering Councillor Bell's question. So council's procedure bylaw is very clear in terms of a reconsideration process. So council, by way of resolution, did impose that 3-year term, and that is enshrined in a motion by council. And consequently, if there is going to be a reconsideration, then the proper procedure must be followed. That particular item is not up for debate as a result of that decision already being made by council. If a member wishes to bring forward a reconsideration motion, they shall do so by way of notice of motion, which would be an entire different process than what you've got before you today.
Thank you. And we're getting an update to the small amendment to the motion, which means the financing can come from, I think, anywhere, correct?
Financial institution.
Yeah, financial institution. We're just, I'll take some questions while we're getting ready to put that up. Counselor to you.
Just further to the amendment we were just discussing about loan options, would that also include the Infrastructure Ontario loan or just through financial institutions?
Yes, I'm getting a nod in the general managers. It's wherever we can get the best interest rate. Yeah. Counselor Bell.
Thank you. So I'm not grasping the concept at all. We have not carried a sewer bylaw, a sewer, whatever this is called, regulate low pressure sewer system bylaw. So we can't reconsider something that we haven't carried. We have a tender that moved forward with multiple things included and also multiple things excluded. We left an entire project hanging in the air, just out there. And so we have the bylaw sitting in front of us on this piece of paper that I'm looking at, regulate low pressure sewer system draft. So we can't need a reconsideration for something that has not been carried yet. So I don't have a clue what we're talking about right now, because what you have here is a bylaw that we are going to have to pass. We have not passed it. So I can't ask for a reconsideration on something that doesn't exist. So I don't understand what this process is going to look like.
The low expansion is the description of the project. The bylaw to connect to the municipal servicing system is the bylaw that requires 3 years. And that's not up for debate today. Council has already made that decision. Where you see low pressure, that just describes this particular, that's just a name of this particular system that now will fall under that bylaw.
But what?
It's not a new bylaw. It's the same bylaw. It's just a description of the actual system.
Okay, but, okay, then can somebody give me the bylaw that we passed? Because I don't have it because we didn't pass it. So we don't have a bylaw that talks about the sewer use or the use of this sewer system. We have never passed that bylaw. It's sitting right here called 2026 XX because it doesn't exist yet.
It's not this sewer system. We have a bylaw for the township with connecting to sewage systems. That bylaw is probably public access, is it not, CAO Jackson? But if not, we can get a copy. It's a bylaw that requires people to hook up to our sewer and water systems, just like we have a bylaw that requires people to have meters on their water. Go ahead.
Through your worship, if I may, as indicated by the general manager earlier, each project has its own sort of set of bylaws. Okay. And so in this particular issue, and certainly your call as chair, your worship, as to whether you want to get into a debate about a reconsideration or not. The issue is council, by way of resolution, very clearly directed that the term shall be 3 years to hook up. You then follow that with your confirmation bylaw. So ultimately, the decision lies with council in terms of reconsideration process. So that is an action that was determined by council in June of 2025, just to be clear, and then followed up with your confirmation bylaw. This is now the formality of enshrining it within the overall bylaw. Your worship, if I can just further to the discussion earlier, as the clerk's staff are preparing, would you just kindly reiterate who the mover and the seconder of the motion was? It was.
I had Councillor Goff and the deputy mayor.
Thank you. And then what we'll do is we will, as soon as they're ready, have the motion to amend so that it is more flexible in terms of the financial institution.
Councillor Bell, clarification.
Yes, because this motion that you're putting up is for this report that I'm reading. And this report that I'm reading says 2026 XX low pressure sewer bylaw. So you're asking me to carry that motion, which is going to, then you're going to tell me afterward that I just carried the motion for a bylaw when we have never even discussed the bylaw previous to today. This is the first time it's shown up. And I know what you're saying. I know that words were said in relationship to a tender report. Words are not a bylaw. The only bylaw related to this sewer use of this system is the one sitting on this report that you're about to ask me to vote on. And inside of it, we're tucking in a bylaw that has yet to be considered and discussed. So there's no reason why we can't pull that bylaw out of this staff report and move it separately so that we have the opportunity to talk about how long we want the mandatory connection to be.
I can't clarify it any clearer, I guess, than what the CEO's done. That decision's already been made. So now that bylaw fits in this one. If you want to change that existing bylaw, you'll need to bring a reconsideration through a notice of motion to change the bylaw that was passed in, was it August 2025? I thought it was 2024, actually, that, or July, that was passed. That's already been discussed and the decision made. So now those rules have been passed. They're, I guess, for the better lack of a word, law of the land. So now they're incorporated in this bylaw. If you wish to change that bylaw, then that will require a notice of motion. Am I explaining that correctly?
Through you, Your Worship, if I just will confirm with Ms. Pai that it was June of 2025, that the resolution, if just to be clear in terminology, Your Worship, the resolution by council was passed and followed with your confirmation bylaw. That's the process. And so it's that resolution that indicates the 3-year term that would need to be reconsidered, Your Worship. If that is the decision of council.
We can't pass a bylaw that goes against the previous resolution. It must include what was passed in a previous resolution. And that is already done and decided. So again, if somebody wants to do a notice of motion at a later fact and then reopen this bylaw, but that decision's already made as pertains to this bylaw. Councillor.
Yeah, so then I'll have an amendment to this staff report where we remove the sewer use bylaw so that we have time to reconsider the mandatory connection, because I don't want to carry a sewer use bylaw right now.
We can't do that. It has to be included in the bylaw for the hookups. It's again, that's a decision already made. To go against that decision would require a notice of motion to change that. It must be included in this bylaw because we have to establish for the borrowing when people are hooking up and when they're paying. That's already been decided. It's in the bylaw. Now, again, a notice of motion later, and I don't know how we'd go about that. I'm looking for direction.
Through you, Your Worship, I certainly don't want to intervene on in the clerk, but your reconsideration section is section 9.19 of your procedure bylaw, and it talks about the process in which a particular motion can be reconsidered, which includes a full notice of motion. So if a member wishes to move forward, they would issue a notice of motion and then consequently justification as to why they believe it needs to be reconsidered.
So that would come as a notice of motion, but the decision to include it in this bylaw has already been made. So do we have the new motion? Thank you. And am I getting approval? I'm getting a nod from the Councillor Goff and the Deputy Mayor. You're fine with that amendment. So then go ahead, Dave. You're muted, Councillor.
I'm sorry for confusion. What happened to the I didn't see the time period in there.
Through the chair to Councillor Snutch, it was changed to the 20-year time frame.
The first part of the
Okay,
motion has the 20.
So there's two different documents.
Put the entire motion back up on the table then, Madam Clerk, and we make sure everybody knows what the.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So the motion as amended will read that report IDO 726 Maple Trail, Lone Birch Trail, Ridge Avenue, and Simcoe Road Low Pressure Sewer Servicing Project dated February 2nd, 2026 be received, and that the capital charge payment options for each property be presented to property owners, and that the lump sum option be payable no later than April 15, 2026, and that the financed option be payable on a 20-year repayment term beginning on the tax bill for June 2026, and that the Director of Financial Services Treasurer be directed to enter into a loan agreement to finance the cost of low-pressure sewer portion of this project for the year 2026. That's the motion as amended.
Okay, if everybody's clear, then I will call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That was carried, unanimous. Thank you. Next, we are on to yard 3 heating repairs.
Oops. The report ID 0926 Yard 3 heating repairs dated February 2nd, 2026 be received, and that council authorize staff to fund $50,000 through the capital expenditure reserve, and that this report be referred to the February 9th, 2026 council meeting agenda for same-day ratification.
Okay, I'll look for a mover to move by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Tuyu. Aside from the in-camera discussion, any comments on this item? Not seeing any. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So now a motion to rise from committee of the whole and reconvene as council.
That the recommendations of committee of the whole be referred to the next regular meeting council to be held on February 23rd, 2026, with the exception of the following items, which shall be referred to the consent agenda consent agenda B today. So the 10.2.2 CD 0426, small claims proceedings for failing to complete paid work. 10.2.3 CD 0526, legal opinion reliability apportionment in multiple defendant situations. 10.2.4 AD 0226, physician recruitment update. 11.5.2 ID 0926, yard 3 heating repairs, and that committee of the whole rise and council be reconvened at 12:02 p.m.
Okay, moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher. We rise, and those reports will be coming today for immediate approval. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We are now on to 12.1 and 12.2, and they have been separated. I know it doesn't show that here. We kind of forgot when we did the minutes. So we're going to start with 12.1 first, which is the closure of the southerly portion of the Mara Eldon boundary road allowance.
That staff be directed to commence the process to stop up and close the southerly portion of Mara Eldon Boundary Road.
I guess there's something I just want to bring to our attention here, and I know the fire department, you've requested it that the feds install a dry hydrant in that location as part of the project, and they seem to want to kick it back that, yeah, we can go ahead and do that at our cost. I think the original request was, no, they put it at their cost, being as they're removing the bridge. Anything you want to add to that, Chief?
Thank you, Your Worship. I will say that the federal government has been working very well on this, and they do see the need for that. They've indicated that it will be a cost to the township. And I guess what I'm looking for is that perhaps there's an opportunity for them to install this at their cost, as they are removing the road. And it is making a significant difference on our ability to draft water from that point in the event of a fire, where a dry hydrant would make that water completely accessible and be incredibly useful for the people in that immediate area for the sake of fire suppression. So from council, I was hoping there would be support to ask them to fund the project.
So could I get that as an amendment to the motion that we proceed with closing that portion and make the formal request that as part of their cost, being as we're losing the road access now to get to the water, that they install us a dry hydrant that we can draw water. I guess we're in council, so I need to put the motion on the floor first. Councillor Bell, second by Councillor Goff. Now I'll look for that amendment. If we see Joe Jackson, anything you'd like to add? We'd like them to do it at their cost.
No, and that's fair enough. Your worship, if you just give the clerks a few moments to create that.
Sorry about that. I was in my notes and just kind of got lost.
Your worship. Could you
Are
please
we ready?
clarify your request?
That in light of losing the road access, that the federal government installs a dry hydrant at their cost. While that's getting drafted, a question from the floor. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Goff.
Chief Stong, is that, you're dealing through Parks Canada? Or
Yeah, through your worship, Councillor Goff, yes, it is through Parks Canada.
because I know originally when they had talked about removing the bridge, they offered all kinds of stuff for us to be able to see what we needed in that area. So I don't think there should be an issue.
Through your worship, they absolutely did reach out, and they were looking for recommendations both on the Brock side and our side, and we did recommend that. But I guess originally it came back as a cost to us. I'm not sure if General Manager Pai has anything else you wanted to offer.
Go ahead, General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Chair. My understanding is that Parks Canada went out with surveys to the community, not just to the municipalities, but the communities as well. And so the design that they've gone with is the culmination of what all of those kind of considerations were. At this point, we had identified that the dry hydrant was a need and asked them to go through that process. So that's where it came along. So they did ask for those comments and suggestions, but I don't know that that might have been just kind of blue sky thinking as opposed to what they were actually willing to do at the end.
Right. How are we doing on the motion, Madam Clerk? And sorry to hit you with one on the floor. As I said, it was in my notes and
Your worship, that motion has been amended to include the following, that in light, that in light of losing road access, staff requests that Parks Canada install a dry hydrant at their cost.
okay, I'll need a mover and a seconder for the amendment. Moved by Councillor Tuyu, second by the Deputy Mayor. Any other questions? All in favor of the amendment? That is carried. Councillor Snutch, you're in favor of the amendment? Yep, all right. And now all in favor of the motion as amended. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, now we're on to the NRK, and the Deputy Mayor has declared a conflict of interest in that. I will turn it over to the clerk for the motion. It's a rather lengthy one.
Your worship, the motion will be going up on the screen. Is it your wish for me to read the entire motion, or?
I think we've all read it on their agenda. Councillor Tuyu, questions on, yes?
Thanks. Yeah, just before we get into reading it possibly two times, I brought this up at our last meeting, and I included it in my list of comments to be added to this. I've already gotten the okay from General Manager Pai that it will be added, but for the residents' benefit to see that it will be included, it was a suggestion that an online complaint form type of thing be implemented. This is a similar thing was suggested and agreed to by the Fowler CLC that I'm part of, which the proponent could make public in order for residents to have a point of contact if they witness a violation, and further, that there be an agreement whereby these documented complaints and how they were responded to and actioned are shared with the township to help ensure accountability.
And I think that would fit under one of the bullets that was here. Is that General Manager, what you're seeing that it could be under?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't know that it's included in one of the bullets here, but we definitely could include it in the letter, so.
You'd be looking for an amendment then?
No, I won't. We just submit it, but I
include
will,
that.
your worship, read the motion so that we're all clear on what.
Yes, and then we'll include that. This is an important one, so.
The council received staff report IDO 3 2026 dated January 14th, 2026 regarding the proposed amendment to the environmental compliance approval number 6332 A2 GNRY. And that the township's comments to the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks state that the proposed amendments to ECA number 6332 A2 GNRY include activities not permitted under the township's current official plan, zoning bylaw, or site plan approvals, and that the application is premature pending the required municipal planning applications, and that the following additional comments from council be incorporated. Creating a township-approved driver protocol, reducing hours of operation, establishing water monitoring procedures, defining hours for auxiliary operations, implementing monitoring camera systems, requiring securities for long-term site management, implementing township's rules regarding the cleaning of roads, enforcing Ontario standards with township monitoring at the expense of the quarry, install adequate warning signage, consideration for highly vulnerable aquifer, independent oversight by a third-party regulator and engineers is required, and that the project should not proceed unless 100% impermeability can be guaranteed. If incoming soil cannot be guaranteed free of hazardous or non-treatable contaminants, the application must be refused. Establishing a clearly defined dust suppression system, which includes installation of an industrial-grade filtration system, and that council authorized the mayor to sign and submit council endorsed comments to the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks.
Okay. So can I have a mover and a seconder? We'll get this on the floor. Moved by Councillor Fisher, second by Councillor Tuyu. And that those comments can be included. You don't feel we need a motion for that. So they will be included as part of the request. I'm getting a nod from the general manager. Any other discussion on this one? This is be prepared for the battle that's coming. So all in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried unanimously as well. Thank you. And we'll get the deputy mayor back here, and then we are on to consent B. Which is the only thing we forwarded today. Correct me about, oh, there is one item from the public, but it's recommendations for 13.2, 13.3, and 13.4, I believe, but you've already read that motion. If you can give me the motion on the floor for consent item B. Yeah.
The recommendations as set out on consent agenda B, reports from the current meeting for the regular meeting of council on February 9th, 2026 be adopted as presented, including the following items. CD 0426, small claims proceedings for failing to complete paid work. CDO 526, legal opinion, reliability, apportionment in multiple defendant situations. ADO 226, physician recruitment update. IDO 926, yard 3 heating repairs.
And I didn't get a request for a separate vote on any of those items. So if I can move her in a seconder, moved by Councillor Tuyu, second by Councillor Fisher. We're all in camera, all in favor. That is carried. Thank you. So there were none pulled. So we are on to 14 now, which is agenda agenda C, which is correspondence, and I don't believe I have any.
That's correct, your worship.
So that takes care of 14. We are on to number 15, correspondence for council direction and the Brecken Public correspondence. Brecken Public School correspondence, I apologize. Whenever you're ready, Madam Clerk.
That staff be directed to provide Brecken Public School with a contribution of a 1-week summer camp session scheduled for August 4 to 7 in support of their 2026 Brecken Bobcat raffle.
Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher. Questions on that? Anything we'd like to add? Go ahead, Councillor Goff.
Yeah, we do this every year and it's, or every time they ask. I'd like to see maybe adding another session so that it's 2 students that can actually go. Because if a family wins the raffle, then maybe, they have 2 children that could go to day camp. I don't know if I need to have an amendment with that or if council would be agreeable.
I'm looking for, first I'll get clarification, maybe from the CEO, put you on the spot, CEO Jackson. I know in raffles, we used to give them our history book. That's what we used to donate for years for raffles. And I'm seeing Brittany Wilson online too, but CEO, do you have anything? Or
Through you, your worship, I'll just indicate that this is what they requested.
Okay.
And consequently, this is what we are proposing, but perhaps Ms. Wilson has something further.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything further to add, just that this was the request for 1 week. And typically we do one of the 4-week sessions within the summer, and that just so happens to be the 4th to the 7th of August this year.
All right, they've asked for 1 week. Why don't we just stay at that then? On the motion, then, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So motions, postponed motions, we have none. Planning motions, we have none. Deputation motions for Michael McMurder and Doug, I forget Doug.
That the deputation by Michael McMurder from Information Aurelia regarding an update on the services offered by Information Aurelia be received as information.
Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Fisher. And at this point, no monetary ask at this point, but they certainly wanted to bring us up to speed and it was worthwhile hearing what they have to offer. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Notice is a motion. I have none. Council motions notice previously given. I have none. Inquiry motions. I do have one. Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Fisher. Madam Clerk.
That staff be directed to prepare a report to council outlining the impact of the recent health and safety water system grant, including its implications for future water and wastewater rate modeling.
Hoping to find some savings in there. I would assume. Counselor, you want to speak on your motion? Go ahead,
Yes,
Counselor Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know 2 years ago at budget time, we sat down and Manon had a consultant here and you had the program where we could punch in numbers and see where we would be on water and sewer rates going forward. And at that time, we decided that we needed an 8% yearly increase for the next 8 years for water and a 13% yearly increase for sewer going forward until 2033, I believe it was. At that time, we didn't have the $30 million that we just received in grant money in that solution. So I would like us to plug in that $30 million for the projects that it's allotted for and then recalculate to see maybe if there are some savings with rate increases going forward.
So I guess that's doable. I would assume the timeline will take a little bit because I think we're doing a sewer and water study again, are we not? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that's correct. So we've committed to doing a rate review that will be delivered by fall of this year. That will give both those comparators of here's where we're sitting without the funding and here's where we're going forward with the funding. So those will be captured at a later time this year.
Perfect. And seconder, anything to add to the motion? Hey, question. Yes,
Just a
Counselor
question,
Bell.
yeah, for clarity. The grant cannot be used for operating costs.
No.
Correct.
No.
Yes, thank you.
But the capital costs, of course. Yeah. Okay. So all in favor? Getting the report. Opposed, if any, not seeing any. Thank you. So now we're having on to bylaws.
That Bill 2026-05 being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers, property standard officers, parking enforcement officers, and provincial offense officers for the Corporation of the Township of Ramara be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed as a bylaw.
Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Tui. All in favor? That is carried. And last, the confirmatory bylaw.
That bylaw 2026-08 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on the 9th day of February 2026 be considered read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Moved by Counselor Snutch, second by Counselor Tui. All in favor? That is carried. And finally, that council meeting of the Township of Ramara held on Friday the 9th, 2026 be adjourned at, well, better look at the computer, 12:17. Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Fisher. All in favor? That is carried. Sorry, Madam Clerk, I took that one from you. Thank you, everyone.